r/AskReddit. Have you ever been drunk or high and came up with this truly amazing idea, but then became sober and realized it wasn't as amazing as you thought it was? If so, what was the idea? To have a fast food spot that sold frozen meals already cooked. Like you can order a heated up Hot Pocket, toaster strudel, chicken pot pie, etc. that would be called Applebee's. This is a truth that burns but is still cold on the inside. A food truck specializing in egg rolls the size of burritos. I once thought edible tape would be a game-changer idea. For when your burrito, or huge egg roll, rips, just tape it back up with edible tape. Google taco tape, someone beat you to it. Running for my local school board. I had a lot of issues with the way the education works in our country and believed the best way to fix the system was by running an honest campaign and promising to fight for the change that would help kids learn better. Ultimately, I sobered up and realized at the time, unemployed, stoned 24-year-old with no kids was not the best candidate. I'd vote for the unemployed guy who was pissed off at the shitty education he received. The man has an axe to grind. Have you seen the people who generally make up school boards? You're downright overqualified in comparison. Whilst high, I came up with the idea of making pens with white ink that would cover up any mistakes on white paper. Realized not only that it had been done already but that I had one in my backpack next to where I keep the pen I used to write down the idea. I came up with it one in kindergarten. My mom then told me about whiteout law. I wanted to write them demanding partial credit because I hadn't heard of it, so had the idea too. Mom said we were out of stamps. One time I woke up in the middle of the night with an idea. A revolutionary idea. Something I needed to write down as fast as possible so I wouldn't forget. So I wrote it down and went back to sleep. I woke up, looked at the piece of paper, and all it said was Pennzoil Mini Wheats. I've never quite figured out what I was thinking. Maybe it was like Tide Pods for changing your oil? Instead of dealing with messy bottles and funnels, just pop a handful of oil pods in to confuse the hell out of anyone who tries disassembling your motor to unseize it. While taking what I thought was acid and turned out to be a 25 bomb, I was beyond confident that I had not only finally understand the truest, deepest secret of the universe, but that I had distilled the idea into an image that could be drawn out. I was certain that with that image I could remember everything about the true universal secrets when I came down. The next day I looked at the paper, and it was aligned with a circle on each end, like a dumbbell. I have no idea what it means. When taking DMT on acid, I had a trip where I flew into space, saw the entire universe on a cosmic wall, and heard what the meaning of life was. When I opened my eyes, I wrote down the meaning to life in my phone. After sobering up, I looked at my notepad, and all I wrote down was walls. Without divisions between things, aka walls, everything would just be one big one thing, and none of the universe would exist. Life as we know it happens because matter and energy are able to be discrete pieces kept separate from each other. Boom. Done. I got high one time and thought of a great business idea where everyone pays money to a pot and one person wins it all. Turns out the lottery already exists. X-Acto spoon. It is an X-Acto knife, only a spoon. Like the tiny spoons they use for samples at gelato places? Nah. Regular spoons. Like, cut off the spoon part and stick it in the X-Acto part. But as knife friend pointed out, you would just end up with a broken spoon. Some people lack vision. Sugar bags. Like tea bags but for sugar. Tea and 2 sugars? 1 tea bag, 2 sugar bags. As we were stoned as fuck, my cousin holding up an empty tea bag filled with sugar and me trying to carefully tie it back up with a piece of cotton, my cousin disappointingly says sugar cubes. HMH, what if you made sugared tea bags? I have seen tea bags with sugar and powdered milk already in them. King Kong but with a giraffe. They said ideas that aren't still great when you sober up though. King Long. I'd watch it. A thing you put on the laptop charger thing that gets hot, which keeps your cheese dip hot. You know what? Now that I use a laptop and know how hot the battery can get, you just might be onto something. My friend is a lawyer and when he was in law school did a summer internship to Ghana studying international law. We were like 2 blunts deep and he came up with the brilliant idea to make chairs in Ghana because everyone he saw there was just sitting on the ground. He was convinced we could have made a fortune selling chairs. In my first year of engineering in uni, one of the design projects was to come up with a chair made of cardboard. The idea was to make a chair supportive and comfortable enough, whilst also being easy to assemble by cutting out shapes on a large piece of cardboard so as to keep the shipping costs low. The winning design was supposed to be implemented, and if my memory serves correctly, the initial pilot program was going to be for a small community in Ghana. Edit. I don't have time to properly consider most replies at the moment, but I promise I'll get my way to them in the foreseeable future. I have, however, replied to some that jumped out at me. Thanks to everyone for the love. I had this idea that the Taken films should each focus on a different set of skills. Like Liam Neeson could be an amazing chef in Taken 2, and perhaps a postman in Taken 3. Honestly, this sounds like a much better version of what we got. But I still wanted to involve saving a kidnapped person somehow. The TV show Cheaters, except with stray cats. Candid cameras catching cats being unfaithful with other neighborhood cats, and a human host interviewing the cats getting cheated on, just like the TV show. Still kinda want this to be a thing in a sober mindset. But it's catching cats being unfaithful to their human owners by being fed by a neighbor who thinks they are a stray. Holy crap, I want this so bad. A totally serious human trying to interview a stray cat in English, and the cat just walks away. I thought it would be practical if you would have a tag with your address written on it attached to your keys, so if you ever lost them they can be sent back. Seemed brilliant to me. Thieves might enjoy this idea as well. My bank does something cool that solves that problem, a keychain with a dog tag that has a specific code that the bank registers to your address. If you lose your keys, anyone who sees them can throw them in a mailbox and they'll be sent back to you. Here in Canada the War Apps does a similar thing, I believe. When I did Shrooms, I came up with the absolutely genius idea that NASA should employ young children and send them to space for missions because they have more natural curiosity and aren't jaded yet by adulthood, and they might notice things that a more experienced astronaut would miss because they'll look from a different perspective. I was convinced I needed to email NASA right away and tell them about my brilliant epiphany. Edit. Apparently I really need to watch Space Camp and the Astronauts and read the Ender's Game series. I appreciate all the kind comments and awards. They also have less weight, saving expensive fuel. My notes app is full of liquor wheat soda epiphanies and revelations from my younger years. My favorite reads, any boy that has the pineapple is a good boy. Correct. A friend of mine called me around 3 o'clock in the morning about a fantastic, groundbreaking idea he had for getting sunburn on your feet. He wears Crocs a lot, so I was actually kinda interested. Okay. So, like, cloth or something you can put on your feet that would keep you from getting sunburn from the holes. Socks. He was describing socks. I have a running note on my phone with my ideas I have while intoxicated. I think my best one is what if there was a Queer Eye spin-off called Third Eye, where hippies and conspiracy theorists try to awaken people who are already happy with their lives. Most of them are just done with such highlights as future math will be cool, and there's a lot of cute animal behavior. I love it. Would 100% watch. Would this be like What Not to Wear and their friends and family secretly film them and enter them in the show, and then Third Eye comes and gives them a forcible conspiracy makeover? Everyone ends up in cult wear and their house is redecorated with tinfoil wallpaper. I had this idea for a movie in a similar vein of Cabin in the Woods, where these people move into a haunted house, except the plot is from the antagonist's perspective, where the ghosts haunting the house treat it like a job, and have interviews in front of a camera, reality show style, venting about how tedious the little aspects of the job are. The premise was this ghost had reluctantly picked up and followed this family to this new house in order to keep haunting them, and inadvertently stepped on another ghost jurisdiction, and they'd bicker about who haunts who, antics ensue. I realize now that this is more or less just what we do in the shadows. Damn you, Taka. Edit. Alright guys, I'm trying to make it as a musician, and have made decent progress so far, and when I do, I'll go the Atlanta or Dave route and bring this up at a hopefully eventual pitch meeting. Thanks for your encouragement, Yale, and please don't steal my idea, maybe. Give me 5 years. Yours sounds equally as amusing and fully worthy of its own film. There are lots of films out there with basically the same premise. I was thinking that kids these days need more time on the road to be better drivers, so maybe Uber should partner with driving education groups and like subsidize them or pay the kids in college bonds or whatever. Yeah, maybe hiring a bunch of terrible drivers for your taxi services isn't such a great idea. Lol, this is great. Hi, my name's Kyle, I'm 14, this is my mom, so where you headed today? Turn signals on grocery carts. I once had the idea to have 2 left turn signals on a car. One for a regular left turn, and a different one to indicate you were going to do a U-turn. I have no idea why this made so much sense at the time, but for the rest of that night I legit thought I was a genius. I've always said that cars should have brake lights on the back and the front, so when I have to quickly stop I can see if the car behind me noticed and is also using their brakes. Beer rocks. When drinking at an outdoor place, using plastic cups, you put fancy rocks in your beer so the cups don't blow over. Genius. Mine was similar. The theory was, the top half of the cup of beer tastes better than the bottom half, so we make cups that have the bottom half already full of something else. We invented smaller cups in Korea. It's normal to share 40s with multiple people rather than each having their own beer. The most convenient stores even provide many paper cups and tables outside the door to encourage you to stay, drink, and snack on all the bankin. My niece drunk texted me and went on and on about her idea for party popper tampons. She wanted to make tampons that shot out string and confetti when you pulled the string. It was all something about women celebrating their freedom and vaginas. It was a very confusing 2 a.m. series of texts when she was just supposed to let me know she made it home safe from her night out. This gets funnier the more I read it. A pot or bowl with holes in it so that you didn't have to use a wire mesh strainer to strain spaghetti. I had drawings and everything. People around me were like, shit, this thing is going to make millions. Next day, dude, that's a colander. Here's a good one from my list of hoodies, dumpsters, trash cans, and dives. Live stream dumpster diving like American Pickers Storage Wars, but completely bullshit pricing guesses with fake accents. Yep. Pre-melted cheese. Edit. Okay, I feel the need to clarify as people are saying nacho cheese or Velveeta or Cheese Whiz. I was so baked, my idea was pre-melted cheese, like a boil-in-the-bag rice. Butterford cheese, like a block of cheddar cheese, in a sandwich bag and boiled till molten, and then it stayed molten. Like didn't solidify and I could just pour it on stuff. Like I was so high, I literally forgot all the aforementioned products existed, and though I was going to be a fucking millionaire, then started to talk with my friends about where I should live, be it LA or New York, in the penthouse suite, and have a butler and maids and shit. Then I came to after passing out at some point, and I remember the entire conversation and think, holy fucking god, I'm a fucking moron. Hear me out. We melt the cheese then freeze it. Then anytime you want melted cheese you just pop it in the microwave for a couple of minutes. That was basically it. It was like boil-in-the-bag rice, but for cheese.